Alright, so once again the brackets were a little delayed as I transitioned out. So Ryung did 2-0 Lenok and is now facing GuMiho. So that happened, I guess, a little before Here defeated Impact. So this is the first semifinal of the day. Second semifinal will be Cure versus Hero. After this, both best of threes. Let's go up here in the production tab. There we go. It's TvT in the top right. Defender's landing. It is the red Terran, GuMiho. In the bottom left, as the blue Terran, it is Ryung. Just the three. All right. We're Gucci there. So TvT, this semifinal will be a TvP, so all Zergs have been eliminated at this point. All the players are also in the money. Olimoleague pays out pretty well. $100 for first place, 50 for second, 25 third and fourth, as well as those points for the monthly finals. If you win an Olimoleague, basically guaranteed you get in there. You get second place in the Olimoleague, almost basically guaranteed to get in there. And then the points in third and fourth are the ones that start adding up here and there. Both players going for one base openers. Both gas is taken. It's Defender's Landing after all, and anything else is going to be a little bit risky. Well, it's TvT, I should say, after all. Anything else is a bit risky. But on bigger maps, on maps like Proxima Station, you can try and get away with a command center after barracks, as long as you build those 2 Reapers. As long as you're prepared for what could be a proxy. So far, pretty identical builds. See what pops out of this factory. It's usually the big change up. 2 Reaper opener is just the most popular one. Another player choosing a wall off. Alright. As I said, 2 Reapers. What pops out of the factory, who plays defensive, who plays aggressive with the Reapers. I myself am a little chicken in TvT and always just keep that Reaper at home. As you can see, GuMiho wants to try and get some damage on, wants to try to get the surprise on Ryung. I do believe his attack shot first, but then he runs into the grenade, so he's absolutely going to lose this fight. He actually might just lose the Reaper. He does. That's not supposed to happen. Uh-oh. This does not snowball like it once did, though, so I'm kind of being, I guess, overdramatic here when I use that tone, as the Cyclone is a good unit to have, a Hellion is a good unit to have, and just, you know, it's not an overwhelming amount of Reapers, but it is a very nice start for our blue Terran. He's got a second Reaper here already, Cyclone ready to go, and if he pushed forward, I think with proper control, 2 Reapers and a Cyclone beat out 1 Reaper, 1 Hellion, 1 Cyclone. But with the high ground, with, you know, a little bit of miscontrol, this is all probably a moot point. Okay, well, not exactly. Since Ryung's Cyclone took more damage than GuMiho's, Ryung's gonna want to be the one to leave. Even though he did manage to save a Reaper, it's not as important. And Command Center puts down location for both parties. Both just continuing to make Ravens and Cyclones. Ravens being a very kind of universal tool here. Very good utility tool, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Good defensive, good offensive, good harassment, good main, like, pushing force. I also like the Raven. Excuse me. When the auto turret was just leading into so many, like, 2-base tank breaks with double Raven, you know, 6 auto turret shenanigans, like that, I didn't really like that part of TvT. Even watching it sometimes with the pros is a little bit like, okay, cool, like, auto turrets are good, you got Ravens, they didn't. But I'm liking where they are now. GuMiho's Cyclones were a little bit weak. He has a couple of Marines to help out, and now he brings forward his own Raven and Viking that were patrolling to try and catch Medevac drop or a Raven harassment. It could have been there. They maybe could have saved that one Cyclone, but oh well. Just a little bit of scuffles. Around getting the A bit of a lead, though, in that army supply is looking to just continue reinforcing. Gonna push that issue. He's falling behind a little bit in workers, but his army could be quite threatening. He finds the Raven. He's gonna want to hope for an auto turret to be burnt on the high ground. Doesn't quite get it, though. His tank comes out a little bit sooner, but GuMiho tries to siege him up to at least an okay defensive position. Unfortunately, an auto turret does come down on the right side. Comes down on the left side, too, from GuMiho. Takes out the tanks on both sides. And that is just a scuffle that was a lot of very key units going down. The Cyclone takes out a Viking. GuMiho's looking for revenge. He doesn't have the army supply lead, but he is chasing down a lot of these important units. Ryung wants to try and save them. Gonna siege up a tank, hoping to take advantage of maybe the smoke a little bit. Not gonna fall for it. Takes his third base on location, as Ryung does. Both of them equally timed for this, but as I said, GuMiho with a few more SCVs and a faster stim timing. Faster stim leads to faster combat shields 99% of the time, unless your opponent gets double tech lab, which I want to say most people don't do anymore, unless they're really behind. Double engineering bay also faster for GuMiho. He's now up 6 workers. You can see there's a spike briefly, but that GuMiho has taken back that economy, and it's going directly into benefits with that upgrade in production. Raven is alive. Ready to do more. Ryung wants to try and deny this third base. The fact that it's on location means that even at an even army supply, if Ryung got the jump on GuMiho, it might still be cancelled, and that looks to be maybe the exact thing that has happened here. 2 tanks deep. Is it a third tank? That's a third tank. GuMiho, if that is not on location, he absolutely saves it. No problem whatsoever. Keeps his lead. Continues working in this game. But now, he's going to have it cancelled. That's absolutely brutal. Ryung had no real advantage there other than the fact that he kind of surprised GuMiho. I guess I shouldn't say a real advantage. He did. His units were a little bit better. He had the 2 tanks here faster, a third tank obviously faster too. He had them in the front lines, but still, if GuMiho knew about it, he would have at least tried to be in a position. You know, your tanks are just right over here, and GuMiho, you know, barely holds because Ryung doesn't want to really break him. Is a lot different than a third CC just having no protection whatsoever, you know? Quite unfortunate for GuMiho. So Ryung, even though he's been down now 9 SCVs, should be able to get back in the economy. He still has later upgrades, still much later stam and combat shields, and GuMiho is going to try and take advantage of that part of the game, the army part of the game, to punish Ryung for killing his third. Sieges up the tanks, but then lets his drops do the work. Raven's still harassing because Ryung does not send back his Vikings. That's where the lead has come from. 8 SCVs killed. Oh, okay. He accidentally shift-clicked onto a supply depot? I think he just A-clicked onto it. Like, he didn't even help kill that auto turret. They just sucked. Stims Marines get that concave on the tank. It was already too late to... Oh, speaking of stim, no stim for Ryung. No stim, no combat shields. Absolutely brutal. GuMiho scans to see if it's okay for his tanks to move out as well. It absolutely is. He gets the Raven. He's going to get a couple of Vikings. He might not be able to get out. Oh, he's going to get out with both medevacs. Are you kidding me? One of them is so low. Another one only has 3 Marines, in fact. Not too scary, but they're taking away so much of the attention away from Ryung's third base. A scan goes down. He sees that the army's out of position. Revenge to be had. His combat shield is finishing up, too. 30cc is immediately lifted, and Ryung might just be able to save it. He's got a couple SCVs to repair. He should probably be repairing. Alright. Gonna fire a little bit, but it's alright. And GuMiho, you know, he still doesn't have a second or a third CCs on 5 barracks production. He can't really quite afford yet to fit that in. But he has gotten a lot of damage from this army supply lead, from the upgrade lead, and there is the combat shields that I was talking about. Ryung, this might just be a very, very, very smart move. Realizing that combat shields is more important against the upcoming tank line than stim is. Obviously both are important, but if you had to choose, combat shields is also a faster upgrade. This is going to be game. CC goes down, upgrade's gonna go down, army went down, there's a bit of an army over here, but it's only a double drop. It's gonna find, I guess, a huge SCV line, conga line going on here, but reinforcements, I think, or just GuMiho pulling back eventually, will still win GuMiho the game. Lots of damage going down on both sides. The SCVs are pulled here, but GuMiho does not have enough Marines quite yet, so these medevacs are out healing most of the damage. But it still doesn't matter. GG. GuMiho takes a 1-0 lead. Ugh. Hello, Fear Dragon. I see you. Get back to studying. Oh my god, that picture of you. Oh my god. Alright, this is a best of 3. As I said, there's already a bit of money for everyone here involved. They all want that finals. GuMiho looking quite unbeatable in this tournament, though. 2-0ing everyone he's gone up against. Might just 2-0 Ryung, too. Other semifinal is Cure versus Hero. I'm a bit more excited about that, gonna be honest. I love watching Hero in TvP especially, and I like that Cure is back to playing in online cups. Makes me all giddy. And there's the countdown. Ascension to Ire was Ryung's map choice. Ooh, okay. Well, guys, it's gonna be starting off with quite the action. In the bottom right, sending that SCV out very early. It's the blue Terran, Ryung. In the top left, as the red Terran, it is Storm Gaming's GuMiho. Actually, speaking of the teams, Ryung was on TES, Team True... Wait, hold on. Team Extreme Supremacy, used to be True Esports, there we go, got it. But at the GSL on Saturday, he was actually on Team Next Gaming, so I don't know... But he was wearing the TES jersey, so I'm really not sure what Ryung is on. If they rebranded again, if he just didn't have another shirt to wear, I have no idea. But I know that GuMiho is still definitely on Storm Gaming. I doubt they're going to be wanting to let him go anytime soon with his performances. Damn. But double 2 racks. That's a quadruple racks. 2 racks. Or double racks. Can't combine them. Math is hard. Yeah. 2 racks, Reaper, double gas, GuMiho. He is looking to be set up for 1 racks expand, and this is kind of a counter to that build. The way that you survive if you go for a 1 racks expand against a proxy 2 racks, or 3 racks, God forbid, is to get a second Reaper, first of all, and then buy time for the factory to produce a unit. You know, that's the 2 main things here. Canceling the command center might be in order, but there's actually not... The chances of them like focus firing on that is pretty low, so you can like, if they want to, you can try and let them do it, but if not, then so be it. You still have the minerals to get what you would have been getting anyways, like the factory and the you know, whatever's coming out from the barracks. So the point of canceling this, I think, is kind of low. Oh, did that Reaper not scout this? Are you kidding me? He specifically looked for this. Now, I did not get a second Reaper, but because of that, I think he got a faster factory. And the Marine can still help out a little bit, but the Marine is supposed to be in conjunction with the Reaper. GuMiho's like, what the hell, man? I looked for this. This isn't supposed to happen. His Reaper can't help out now. It needed the high ground. It needed the protection of a Marine. The SCVs come forward. The Marine pops out. It might just be enough to hold on. This Reaper almost dies, in fact. Would have been devastating for Ryung, but he just needs to buy that time for that factory to finish. The SCV's still alive. That's pretty important there, too. SCVs, they are going to go down. GuMiho can lose quite a few, though, because command Center still not canceled, he'd had that double SCV production eventually. There's a Hellion on the way out. This is faster than that Cyclone. It's also just simply cheaper, so they can also afford to get that starport when this, you know, weird of a game is going down. The Reapers, they know they can't really successfully get into that main base. It'd be quite a challenge, so they are just going to target down the command center. This will have to be canceled, perhaps. Ryung proxied his factory, too. Oh, if GuMiho tries to save this, and in doing so loses units, the Cyclone follow-up might just be the game over. GuMiho's still not getting his own Cyclone either. He's getting another Hellion. Hellions suck. Oh, no. He just has no idea what's going to be hitting him. There's that Cyclone. GuMiho's going to have to work some serious magic against 5 Reapers and a Cyclone. He can't even escape. Oh, I think this is game. Pulls all the SCVs. Has a Liberator on the way. The SCVs, they could actually... If one goes back, he could finish the command center, lift him, and then try and hold up on the main base. But he loses so many SCVs. And there is definitely still a cutoff point of too many SCV losses. He doesn't put an SCV back in the command center. That Cyclone's going to kill it. Oh, God. It might as well be game over anyways. The one shining hope was that the command center could have finished. But without the command center, there's no hope for GuMiho. Nah, the proxy Cyclone is really the killer. I mean, the Reaper is getting a good counter build here. That's awesome and all for Ryung, but the Cyclones especially are just too bad. Well, too good for Ryung. He's going to be evening up this series, man. GuMiho's not going to get a flawless victory to the finals. His Cyclone pops out, and they're, briefly, I think they lost high ground vision with the Reapers leaving, but... 13 SCVs, 1 base, to 28 SCVs, 2 base. The one thing GuMiho has is his production is still working. Whereas Ryung's was flying, but it did not matter. I'm glad to see that tap out. I think it was a long time coming. And we are going to be getting into game number 3. And as such, I'm going to quickly move on to a 2-minute break. See you guys soon. Welcome back, guys. It's game number 3 in this best of 3 series. Ace match time. In the top right, has the blue Terran, he is Ryung. In the bottom left, has the red Terran, it's GuMiho. So Ryung throws in a bit of a cheeky build. Proxy 2 racks with a proxy factory. I mean, that's quite committed. And just absolutely caught GuMiho off guard. I mean, it's more than the 2 racks, the proxy factory too. Absolutely brutal. And what's even more heartbreaking for the GuMiho fans out there is that he almost scouted it. But no proxies here, despite being named Proxima Station. And a lot safer of a map too to go for a 1 racks expand. If that last map had been Proxima, then of course the command center not being done is not an issue. The command center having to be protected until it was done is not an issue. And of course, there is no easy peasy Reaper hop-up spots. In fact, if you guys have not noticed yet, through multiple Proxima Station games, Terrans are having a very cute wall-off now. It protects against not just TvT Reapers, because if you wall off like GuMiho's doing, you literally cannot get into their main base. Reactor goes here, supply depot over here, and you just cannot get in. It also helps in TvP as the second supply depot shouldn't die. I don't think to the pylon rush, but no one really pylon rushes anymore. So that's why you see it so often nowadays. It's kind of like the similar trick in TvZ, where if you can, you put that reactor on the right side so that it's not the structure that is broken by Lings and or Banelings. The more you know. Both did go for 1 rack expands with Reaper openers. Sometimes you can play without a Reaper in TvT on Proxima because they just are that bad on Proxima, but it's still a bit of a risk. Ryung's looking for that first shot. GuMiho's looking for the proxies, as he should. Both going up to factories. Got some serious Terran music in the background. It's not that hype, man. Calm down. Starports for both parties, but a tech lab on GuMiho's factory. Hellion popping out of Ryung's. is very overdramatic, saying that Hellion sucked last game. I still kind of stand by it. It's always a big question mark when you see the Terrans go for a Hellion instead of a Cyclone, because the benefits of a Cyclone are just like so much better. And if you're going for a solid build, you aren't having your SCVs damaged, or you didn't mess up by having a late gas, the Cyclone actually doesn't push off much, you know, with the build order. It doesn't actually push off like the starport timing at all, or even like a Banshee. I think it takes, since it takes a little more gas, it does push off like a Raven, if you're getting into like the really nitty-gritty specifics. But yeah, more often than not, it seems to be just because it has speed, so you can get across the map really fast and start that snowball effect that sometimes is game-winning in TvT. And it also just produces a little bit faster in case you need it in an emergency. But a Cyclone is almost always the better, well-rounded unit that doesn't really mess up the build order that much. The Reaper is going to die eventually, as we all do. It's grim. But that was a distraction, so hopefully the Ryung's medevac gets in the main base. But GuMiho, I mean, as much as he was playing around with his Reaper, he does have units at home, and this drop doesn't do very much. In fact, accidentally unloads more Marines as he was just, you know, unloading and hadn't stopped that action. So the Cyclone not able to help, not able to do very much. Third CC, though, on the way. Ryung has other plans other than trying to deal damage. He's just trying to get a good macro game going here on location 2. Hellion is going to scout GuMiho's intention, take a third base. GuMiho, I'm pretty sure, is intentionally not throwing that down. Maybe just in case that could fake out Ryung. Mind games on mind games, I don't know. Because GuMiho certainly was banking enough for it for a long time. But now Raven on the way out. Stim much faster for Ryung. It's kind of a classic, I guess. What's the right word here? Like, actually can't think of the right word. It's not so much classic as it is an interesting aspect of TvT that happens occasionally. You'll find some, you know, pro gamers use a build that has very fast stim and combat shields. You'll probably find it on ladder more likely. It's almost like a cheese, not this build by the way, just like in general, to go for super fast barracks production and stim production in TvT. I'm talking like, you know, 1 base or 2 base, because generally your powerhouse units coming from the factory and the starport are just so much more worthwhile if they're controlled properly and in the right positions than a much, much faster stim. But faster stim, you know, obviously gives you really powerful medevac drops. It gives you the ability to concave and pounce on opportunities, and it does give you the more aggressive stance. So Ryung certainly not doing anything cheesy, and it was 3 base and then stim, like blah blah blah. It is faster, and he will be able to control the game a lot more, unless GuMiho is just, you know, totally like brazen, doesn't care, doesn't have stim, which I find unlikely. Well, Cyclones are looking for the most obvious path of attack. But Ryung could just wait for medevacs to pop out and then go for a drop. It's always a threat. Viking is patrolling for that very threat, but only 1 Viking couldn't stop it. Double Raven maybe, though. And that is the biggest difference between their builds, besides the, you know, differently timed command centers. 2 Ravens to absolutely none. 1 Viking to 1. These 2 Ravens with full energy, all their auto turrets are absolute beasts, but they have to be in the right position, and they have to actually get the auto turrets down. I mean, I think if anyone plays Terran has tried playing with Ravens, you know this feeling, but also watch in pro games where you see the Raven supposed to get these awesome auto turrets, and then just kind of like, you know, they just don't. And you're like, well, what happened? The Raven's actually surprisingly hard to control. It seems so easy to just throw out auto turrets, but more often than not, it feels like, for me anyways, they just run over the Marines and die without sending out the auto turrets as fast as you would think they would. So they definitely have to be controlled pretty well. Pouncing on top of the Cyclones reveals the drop, so was that worth? I think GuMiho, you know, not too upset about losing 2 Cyclones 8 minutes into the game, is a little more happy to know where the army is. His stim is going to be finishing up, so that didn't end up being a timing, but the combat shields might be one as he moves out here looking for the fight. He doesn't have medevacs and he doesn't have combat shields. I don't know, this is really the smart call, but He's gonna find Cyclones, actually. Revenge! Since Ryung just picked up and left. Wow, that's a really quick fourth. Both of them on their way to second factories because I think this is just the way the game has gone. You know, 3cc versus 3cc, no damage really done to each other. All right, you're going to be going into that late stage TvT, but this fourth is still very fast, even considering, you know, that's where they both have identified this game is going to go. Sensor towers, of course, covering both bases, key parts of Proxima, and upgrades kind of timing out here very well. So the combat shields thing never ended up being an issue. The faster sim, the faster drops never really did very much, and everything has been equalized. And GuMiho, I mean, both of them, TvT, it's coming to this point. They're both going to be moving out and positioning and looking for better concaves and faster tank siege ups. It's not going to be so much about the drops anymore. Got him. That many Marines absolutely tore that medevac apart. Well, what a surprise, right? Ryung is going to be moving out just to take down his rocks. He does have a 4cc on the way as well, just like 30 seconds. Yeah, like 40 seconds faster or slower than GuMiho's. 2-2, it's said, very, very close to each other. Production is coming in, I think, a little bit faster for GuMiho, especially with these barracks. Easier time reproducing. Ryung maybe looking for air control. He's going up to 5 Vikings here. Proxima, well, just TvT, but especially Proxima, when you both are on your way to the 4th, a lot of times the siege lines are this middle line right here. And if you can get Viking control and as such liberators, which is exactly what he's doing, you can push them back, force them to unsiege and pounce, and win that tug of war that is very classic TvT. Now that is classic TvT. Nothing I was trying to describe earlier. But GuMiho should recognize this is what's going to happen. Very rarely do people just stay on a Viking count and say like, nah, boo boo, I can see you, can't see me. This late into the game anyways. It usually leads into those liberators. Only one Viking survived. Double drops in the main base. He scans ahead to see if it is good. It's alright. If he was fully unloaded... No, actually, he does end up fully unloading, and he does end up taking out the Marines in the tank. More Marines coming in here, but they don't have medevac support. They aren't even sim. Their sim wore off after using it. Just a lot of dead units filing in one at a time. Ended up going quite badly. The Vikings pop out, but they're going to die too. They're not even attacking. Oh, man. Okay, they finally attack, but a bunch of auto turrets. Those Ravens finally showing themselves. So many SCVs have gone down, as they were also pulled to clean this up. 20 SCVs in total from 2 drops that were responded to about as quick as possible, and 2 Ravens that just ran past like a train. Just like, I don't go, and then just throw on a bunch of auto turrets. The Ravens don't curse because they're robots, so... upgrades yet again, pretty even. Although GuMiho is 30 seconds behind on 3-3. He's gonna pull the SCVs. He doesn't want to deal with this siege up, but I don't know if that's the right move. GuMiho might have just taken out a large chunk of the army and a large chunk of the SCVs, but his army supply was not as good as Ryung's. His max out wasn't as good. It wasn't as fast as I thought it was gonna be. He just simply did not have the army to do that. And I think... I'm pretty sure that that was an overconfidence issue. Like, he thought that everything was going his way, so he decided, I can take this on before it gets really threatening. Because if he's a little more scared, if he's a little less confident, I think he just waits for Ryung to push into him, tries to get Vikings, tries to get Thors and deal with the Liberators, or, you know, probably more likely just snipes the Liberators at the cost of 20 Marines. You know, but pulling the SCVs, trying to get that concave, that seemed very dangerous. But GuMiho's money, the bank kicked in. He's back up to an even supply. And now it's Ryung's turn. Ryung's turn to almost over-dedicate here. Ryung's 3-3 is done, but it looks like it won't be too impactful. 13 tanks to 5. Dang. But if they get a concave, it doesn't really matter how many there are. So many of them go down without being protected by the Marines of Ryung as he had pulled back so far. The Thor is surprisingly helpful sometimes. Takes a lot of shots. But the depth of the tank field a little bit too much. GuMiho has to pull back. But he has even up that army supply, even up the upgrades, even up the economic situation. Both parties getting 20 SCVs killed. Sounds about right. Very, very even in the numbers here. GuMiho invested into the +3. And Ryung went for the non-gold. These are the important distinctions here. But this non-gold is going to be maybe not alive. That's a Thor. I thought that was a tank. I didn't even see it hanging down below the medevac. That is so silly. I had no idea that a Thor outranged a planetary. It's like shocking because I really didn't think it would outrange a planetary. I had no idea. And after casting billions of games of StarCraft, I usually have a general knowledge. Alright, well now I know. Clearly I should be Thor dropping more in TvT. Oh, well, tank will take care of that. I guess it's, you know, with high-sec auto-tracking, maybe it doesn't. But since they both have taken these huge battles, no one really has accrued too much of a bank to get those accessory engineering bay upgrades. At one point, GuMiho had a huge bank, but then he had to use it to remax after that pretty questionable fight. Interesting to note, by the way, as we watch +3 finish up. I mean, Fear Dragon figured this out. The upgrades don't actually matter so much. They just are just like more damage overall, so obviously it's still very good with the fact that it's splash and more damage overall, but it doesn't affect any of the like one-shot, two-shot ratios. Anyway, Thor could take care of the Liberators or the Vikings, obviously either one taken care of. Scan in the main reveals that there is once again nothing to defend. This time, truly nothing to defend. Not because Ryung is rattling in every once in a while. A single tank is sieged up, but that still leaves a couple supply depots, the center tower, the reactor. But Ryung pushes in with all of his Marines, and GuMiho clearly was not expecting this. Had a lot of reinforcement units that just weren't prepared for so many Marines, but now pulling back. I think he's going to clean this up eventually. It's actually surprisingly close, but the power of the medevac's healing so many more of GuMiho's Marines, I think, really helped there too. And then, of course, that Thor. He manages to keep his tanks over here, so these tanks can't try and do any shenanigans like on sieging and moving forward. A lot of blows back and forth, but now GuMiho, he just lifted a lot of his army. Ryung scanned this army and was like, okay, where is that army? He scans this a little bit late, but he's got to be questioning where that army is. I thought I was going to pull back to defend, but realizing it would be too late anyways, tries just reinforcement defend, but that's not a lot of reinforcements. There's still so many medevacs too, that while usually 4 or 5 Vikings could take down a large portion of the drop, it really doesn't. This is going to be pretty cemented at the high ground, and that might just be it for Ryung's production, but that forces Ryung to push. He's not very quick about it. It's so tank focused that he's got to be careful to always siege hop these. So while it looked like a golden opportunity to move in, it really was halted. Ends up being very, very slow, and that's a big difference maker, you know? One Terran on top of production massively outweighs the other Terran on top of, like, economy, for instance. Most of the time, anyway. Marines probably could have killed a lot of SCVs, but the citizens' arrest went down to the gold base. Another factory goes down. Ryung still stalled out here. He did find, I think there was a command center floating over there. So, no economy for you. Leaves the tanks on the high ground? Oh, I see. Trying to play it very smart to protect a limited number of non-tank units. Has the high ground, low ground dynamic. That's cute. That's really cool. Really wanted to get that command center, but loses all of the Marines that were taken with his force, so it is just the tanks and the Thor. Thor does not go down. Are you on 1 health? How often do you see a Thor on 1 health, guys? It cleans up everything. The splash damage from the tanks barely doesn't kill it. You know, friendly fire. A single Liberator pops out, and Ryung, I mean, lost so many Marines trying to break it initially. Lost a couple more as he got dragged in every now and then. Can't actually take it out. Not while it's protected by tanks. These Liberators just saved GuMiho from having his own little production problem. He kind of corners Ryung too with these tanks, and I think GuMiho has finally done it. Marines pop on top of the tanks, and that has got to be it. Ryung desperately scanning to see what the economic situation is like. Maybe feels better about the game after seeing no fifth, fourth, like whatever it is, right? That it could be. I guess maybe he's deciding to stick in the game, but he took a devastating loss to his army. That's the real trouble with tank-based armies. They look so powerful in a siege line, protected minimally by Marines, but once left alone, can be pounced upon quite easily. That Thor, that beautiful one-health Thor finally goes down. Scans. GuMiho sees it's not a very powerful army. It doesn't even have medevacs. And now he is the one with the tank control. Ryung looks like he was going to go for... Oh no, that's right. He just lost all his production. I thought that was like a second or third starport. That's just a starport. He cannot produce medevacs. Every stim is going to hurt so much. Liberator sieges up the planetary. Tank's still alive over here. GuMiho hesitant to, you know, just push in because he is now the person with that tank army. He can't just run in and hope to God regular DPS takes care of it. Now he has to siege hop, so it's taken a little while. Ryung has 43 Marines to 24, but 10 tanks to 0. Lord. Another command center could start burning. This tank is repositioned to attack supply depots, I guess. This base could absolutely be slaughtered by Ryung, but he doesn't know about it. He doesn't want to go to it. Even if he did, he'd have to go there slowly without stim because he doesn't have any medevacs. He won't have any medevacs with the starport finally dying too. And it's such a short life. It's inevitable. Ryung has got to try his one last-ditch effort, and then after the army dies, it's got to be the tap-out point. He's just seeing that both bases have now been taken. That also could have been the tap-out point, but no. Tries his best to get a sandwich with SCVs. But they don't make a very good bread. Just saying. GG. GuMiho takes the series 2-1 and will advance to the finals. He will be facing the winner of Cure versus Hero. The other semifinal is ready to go. We'll be getting into that as soon as possible. But first, I definitely need a break. See you guys soon.